Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 264. Good afternoon, everybody, since we're after 12 o'clock. And welcome to the JP8 Report. Get my mouse working right. Thank you all very much for tuning in today. Been a busy day already. I just added something else, two things to my to the podcast just within the last 15 minutes, and talked to a good friend of mine about one of them because right no sooner than I wrote it down, he texted me. I'm like, what are the odds, right? And so thank you all very much for tuning in, and as we get started, don't forget to click that follow or subscribe button, whichever it is. I think it's the follow button. And then right next door to it is a thumbs up. Click the thumbs up button for us, and then share the podcast or repost it. I appreciate it if you do that. Builds our numbers up. I'm still looking at 99 followers. I'm looking for that 100th follower. So if you have not followed the JPA report yet, just please click the follow button. All right, and then one other thing, I'm still working on YouTube. Those overlords at Google, they require you to have 50 subscribers on a YouTube page before you can live stream through it. So I broadcast through Rumble, and it's oh man, I forgot what it goes from Rumble through Facebook through X. And then we wanted to go through YouTube also. But not syndicated, simulcast. There we go. That's the word. So if you wouldn't mind, if you go to the JP8 report the JP8 report 67 is the page on YouTube. Just go to it, subscribe to it. Don't even listen to it because you're going to listen to it through Rumble, which is better, right? And then we go from there. And I'll tell you about it and show you in just a little while. And then, two items of interest on November 20th, 1775. So the bad news is the British captured Fort Lee, New Jersey, and then in Massachusetts, man, my phone keeps going off again. And in Massachusetts, there was a attempted mutiny from Pennsylvania militiamen or riflemen, and it was they were overtaken by overwhelming force, by General Washington, General Lee, and Nathaniel Greene personally, and then and took care of the matter, and the mutiny was over, right? And those guys were from Pennsylvania. So that's what happened in America, in the United States, on November 20th, 1775. Now next is Dalmatian Burger Group. Don't forget about these guys. They make homemade smash burgers and dogs right here in Copper's Cove. All their ingredients are homemade, including the buns. They're open Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 2 and 5:30 to 7. And they're on the west side of Copper's Cove. All right, behind Bush's Chicken. Just go to the back of the shopping center. And as you can tell on their burgers and their dogs, everything's the same price. You get a single patty at one price, a double patty at one price, and a triple. I don't see how people can eat the double or the triple because they're so big. All right. So that's the Dalmatian group. So two of the things before I get into my regular outline, right? So here I am watching TV, getting ready for and then I realized a news headline came out. And some of y'all know me, and they know my view on butthurt politics, all right? And that's when you don't get your way in politics, you You go vote for someone else, or you don't go vote, right? And so, Dick Cheney's funeral is today, and I was in the Army while he was vice president. I was in the Army when he was Secretary of Defense. Very smart guy, right? Very, very smart guy. I think he was the brains behind President Bush. But it came out today that our current vice president, J.D. Vance, and our current president, Donald J. Trump, are both banned from going to the funeral at the Washington Cathedral for Vice President Dick Cheney. This, and when you say, oh, well, okay, well, really? So, George W. Bush was there. Barack Obama was there. Joe Biden was there. Kamala Harris was there. So why wasn't the current president and the current vice president allowed to go? They're heads of state. I mean, I don't know if Dan Quayle was there or Al Gore, because I heard Bill Clinton wasn't there either. But these guys were actually banned from showing up. So there's been a radical change in the Republican Party since 2015 under President Trump. And lots of things have changed. And the egotistical I can't even pronounce the word, but the way people are these days are different than they were 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And I've been a Republican all my life. And I made that change, and I follow the current president, and that's our president. And some people just choose not to do it. I see it in politics here all the time. I lost the primary, so I'm not even going to go vote. Well, why would you do that? That's the same thing. George W. Bush. Did he vote for Biden? Did he vote for Clinton? I don't know. I served a man. I have questions about Iraq and Afghanistan now. Well, we have both really, but I would go back in a heartbeat because he was president, no matter what. But the fact is that in this day and age, we're so fractured, and even in the Republican Party, we have another fracture, and it's the old guard against the new guard. You got the guys, I bet if Bush was president, he would never have a problem with Mitch McConnell as a Senate Majority Leader when he was the Majority Leader. No doubt. But it's all about these power-hungry people not wanting to let go. And it does. And you got to make that change. So they disrespected their... Man, I don't know if Dick Cheney said no, but it said the family said that they banned the president and vice president from going. That's wrong. That's wrong. The next thing that I came up with was a couple of days ago, there was an appeals court ruling about redistricting in Texas. And it was a 2-1 ruling. And there was an Obama-appointed judge and a Trump-appointed judge that said that the Texas redistricting was racially gerrymandered and it wouldn't allow it to go forward. And we all know that was a lie because we saw how the new districts looked compared to the old ones. And there was one judge, a Reagan appointee, that his name is Jerry Smith, that he dissented without statement. I'm like, well, that was weird. And it was so important to him to dissent. Why didn't he say anything, right? Well, because he was writing. He just issued I think it was 104-page dissension. 104 pages of his feelings about the whole thing. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and read about it because I heard a little bit this morning with Governor Abbott, and then so we'll go from there. So a federal judge in Texas responded to the court's decision to scrap the state redrawn map with a jaw-dropping dissent on Wednesday, in which he lobbed dozens of insults at his colleague and repeatedly invoked Democrat mega donor George Soros. And this article comes from Fox News from Ashley Oliver. This is the most blatant exercise in judicial activism that I have ever witnessed. Judge Jerry Smith, a Reagan appointee on the U.S. Court of Appeals Fifth Circuit, wrote of the 2-1 decision to toss out the map. In a turbulent 104-page tirade, he named the majority opinion's author, U.S. District Judge Jeffrey Brown, a Trump appointee, hundreds of times, accusing him of pernicious judicial misbehavior. The majority opinion would have been a prime candidate for a Nobel Prize for fiction, and Smith said. The main winners from Judge Brown's opinion are George Soros and Gavin Newsom. Smith said the obvious losers are the people of Texas and the rule of law. Jerry Smith, Yale Law School graduate, wrote that if this were a law school exam, the opinion would deserve an F. Smith's dissent came as part of a 3-judge decision in U.S. District Court of the Western District of Texas to temporarily block the state from using the map in the 2026 midterms. The map had created 5 new Republican-leaning districts, with the majority said was a product of unconstitutional racial gerrymandering. Republican Governor Greg Abbott has already turned to the Supreme Court for relief. Just as striking as the dissent itself, which Smith conceded as disjointed, was that the 2 judges in the majority did not wait for it, issuing their decision on Tuesday and leaving Smith's dissent to land on the docket a day later. That's why this came out late, because they didn't even give him time to write his dissent. Any pretense of judicial restraint, good faith, and trust by these 2 judges is gone, Smith wrote. If these judges were so sure of their result, they would not have been so unfairly eager to issue the opinion without my dissent, or they would have waited for Brown in order to issue it. What indeed are they afraid of? Brown was joined in the 2-1 opinion by U.S. District Judge David Guatemala, an Obama appointee. Sorry about this. Smith's broadside focus on Brown, saying, true to form, he preferred to live in a fantasy land and engage in judicial tinkering. The Supreme Court is now under pressure to act quickly on what has become a pivotal election issue that could shape the outcome of next year's midterms. Texas requires candidates to declare their candidacy by December 8th. Not just declare, you have to file, right? The High Court is already considering a similar Voting Rights Act case that originated in Louisiana. The judges heard oral arguments in the case last month and are expected to address the race provision of the law, which is relevant in the Texas case, on a normal timeline during this term. Brown's majority opinion in Texas has opened up a quote from Chief Justice John Roberts, who said in an unrelated case, the way to stop discrimination on the basis of race is to stop discriminating on the basis of race. Substantial evidence shows that Texas racially gerrymandered the 2025 map. Justice Brown, the Trump appointee, wrote. Okay, Brown said the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division had Harmit Dillon warning to Texas this year to address the 4 districts of non-white majorities because they were coalition districts with a race-based directive, as evidenced by Dillon ignoring all other Democrat-leaning districts that had white majorities. Abbott had responded to Dillon by adding redistricting to the legislative agenda in a rush, leading to a stunning protest involving Democrat state lawmakers fleeing the state earlier this year. The governor explicitly directed the legislature to redistrict based on race, Brown found. And then Ashley Oliver, digital reporter for Fox News. He's wrong. If you look at the pre-map, you'll see black majority districts wrapping around cities and cutting through cities and wying out instead of area districts and stuff. And then you saw the quote from the Chief Justice, John Roberts. Don't do anything race-based. It's got to be fair. They drew these districts where those 5 districts are leaning Republican, which means just because you say you're Republican doesn't mean you're going to vote that way. You have the right to vote anyway. It's not a sure Republican district. It's a leaning Republican district. All right, like we live in 60-40 areas all throughout the Texas, right? So when these are like within 5 points of each other, these districts, so it can go either way. They're just making it fair. So that came out today too. It's going to go to the Supreme Court, and it should go a 6-3. It should be 6-3 vote. If you have any comments about that, let me know. Appreciate it. That or the deal about the Cheney funeral. Okay, so, and the thing that everyone's talking about today, and I try to get away from it, but it's Epstein. Okay, the president signed a bill last night, and because it passed 427-1, and then by unanimous consent in the Senate. And unanimous consent is they bring up a bill, they read the bill, there's a motion, and a second, and then they say all in favor, and then that's it. And there's no voice. It's all voice, and there's no roll call, right? There's no debate, nothing, right? So that's how it went. And then it went to the president. The president signed it last night. We have this. Okay, I'm going to read these first. Okay, this is a long truth from President Trump. So, Jeffrey Epstein was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to Democrat politicians, and was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures, such as Bill Clinton. He traveled on his plane 26 times. Larry Summers, who just resigned from many boards, including Harvard, sleazebag political activist Reid Hoffman, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, who asked Epstein to donate it to his campaign after Epstein was charged, Democrat Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and many more. Perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed, because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. As everyone knows, I asked Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass the bill in the House and the Senate respectively. Because of this request, the votes were almost unanimous in favor of passage, and at my direction, the Department of Justice has already turned over close to 50,000 pages of documents to Congress. Do not forget, the Biden administration did not turn over a single page or file related to Democrat Epstein, nor did they ever speak about him. Democrats have used the Epstein issue, which affects them far more than the Republican Party, in order to try and distract from our amazing victories, including the great, big, beautiful tax cut bill, strong borders, no women in sports, or transgender for everyone, and ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, lowering prices, biggest tax and regulation cuts in history, ending 8 wars, rebuilding our military, knocking out Iran's nuclear capability, getting trillions of dollars invested in the USA, creating the hottest country anywhere in the world, and even delivering a huge defeat to the Democrats on recent shutdown disaster. For years, our great nation has had to endure Russia, Ukraine, impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and many other Democrat-created witch hunts and scams, which have been so terrible and divisive for our country. And we have done to confuse, deflect, and distract the great job that Republicans and the Trump administration are doing. This latest hoax will backfire on the Democrats, just as all of the rest. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great. And that was put out November 19th at 7:20 p.m. Eastern, right? So, I'm back. Go back. I'm trying. Okay, there we go. So I'm set there. So, like he said, Larry Summers, he was the Treasury Secretary for Barack Obama. I think it's Barack Obama. He's no longer teaching. He got suspended from Harvard. They're doing an investigation on him. He resigned from the board of OpenAI. And Hakeem Jeffries. He invited Epstein in 2013 to a fundraiser and asked him for like $13,000 for his campaign. Jasmine Crockett. I mean, I got 2 other things I'm going to read. I have no more slides to show for a little while. Oh, man. Let's see. We got 6 people watching right now. Sorry for my voice. I still don't have no cough drops over here. Hold on. Okay. So we'll go this part first. And this is Fox News also by Deanna Stancy. President Trump said on Wednesday evening that he signed the legislation greenlighting the Justice Department to release files related to late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, this is the Truth Social stuff here. Trump ties to Epstein have faced increased attention, which we know they're all lies. But Sunday, Trump announced that he would back releasing the documents. And that's one. So, and we don't need to read any more of this one because this is all part of the stuff I just read on the Truth Social. Most of it is. All right. So the other one was Jasmine Crockett. Breaking news. Hold on. White House holds briefing after President signs bill to release Epstein files. All right. So, yep, there's Caroline Levitt. All right. So, Jasmine Crockett is facing backlash on social media and labeled the worst possible candidate after she botched her facts while trying to tie Republicans to donations from Jeffrey Epstein during remarks on the House floor. After a tranche of Epstein-related documents were released earlier this week, Delegate Stacey Platt, the non-voting congressional representative from the Virgin Islands, came under fire for texting with the disgraced financier during a 2019 congressional hearing about Donald Trump. Plaskett, also fervently defended by several of her Democrat colleagues in the House of Representatives that tried to censure her, including Crockett, who sought to accuse Republicans of their own ties to Epstein, but failed miserably. Crockett said she had her team dig into the FEC records, which she claimed showed Lee Zeldin, the Environmental Protection Agency administrator and former member of Congress from New York, had accepted donations from the disgraced financier in the past. However, the donations were from a different Jeffrey Epstein, prompting backlash from both parties against Crockett. I'm going to read just a little bit more and I'll stop. But if you're looking for a good way to light $50 million on fire and lose by 15 points, then Jasmine Crockett is your candidate. A Democrat strategist told Fox News Digital following Crockett's floor remarks. Crockett has indicated she will decide by December 8th whether filing deadline whether to throw her hat in the ring to challenge incumbent John Cornyn of Texas, which he won't be the nominee, but she's going to get slaughtered if she run, no matter if it's Wesley Hunt or Ken Paxton or John Cornyn. She's going to get stomped if she runs. She'll probably even get beat by Colin Aldred. Beto O'Rourke will probably get more votes than her. All right. She's got no shot to win the Texas Senate race, and screw-ups like this show why she's probably the worst possible candidate. And you know what? I hope she does run. Like I said, there's no, if you're looking for a good way to light $50 million on fire, I would love to see her waste $50 million on a failed bid, because history has shown, people will spend $1.7 billion on a presidential campaign and lose. Okay? Oh, I was talking about Kamala Harris there, wasn't I? So let's hope she does it. Okay, we'll go there. So I'm going to mark that one off. I missed something. Okay, that's all right. And then put this back over here. So the next thing I was talking about was also there's a congresswoman. Her name is Sheila McCormick. She's a congresswoman from Florida, Democrat, right? She was indicted yesterday afternoon for stealing $5 million of FEMA relief funds from the federal government. So how she did that was in 2021. She and her family owns, her and her family own, what's that? Hold on just a second. Okay, that's spam. Okay, so in 2021, her and her family, they own a healthcare company, and they petitioned to FEMA for $5 million to be able to administer COVID inoculations for people in Florida where she represents, right? Well, they took the money and funneled the money into her congressional campaign and for other personal expenses. So they took federal dollars that were meant for American people to receive COVID shots for the ones that wanted them, and for the ones that were forced to receive them, and then, but they didn't do it. They pocketed the money, and she ran for Congress and got elected. And what it was, her friends and family members were using fraudulent, like straw donors. So they weren't real donors, but they looked like they were donors, and that money went into her campaign coffer, right? She's facing 53 years in prison for this scheme. So you can mark her off the list there. The Democrats are about to lose another member of Congress. Congressman Greg Steube, he's a congressman from Florida also. He's a Republican. Today, he's going to introduce a House censure on her to get her completely censured in the House of Representatives. So, $5 million. Man, you know, when I got my loan for my business, I made sure every dime of it went to payroll and to the stuff I said it was going to go to. And you got people like this. Really. Okay, so the next thing was for the JP8 report, the House votes unanimously to repeal provision in it was to allow members of that Congress, both House and Senate, that their phone records were taken by Jack Smith, and for $500,000. It was in the continuing resolution. So this is weird. So they won't allow them to sue for damages, right? But yeah, we'll just leave it at that. So they won't be able to sue now. So and plus it's tax dollars too. Okay. Now if they took the money straight from Jack Smith, that'd probably be a different story. All right. So next is U.S. Court of Appeals. 7th U.S. Court of Appeals backs lower court on ICE Chicago enforcement. So a federal appeals court has blocked the lower court ruling that sought to limit how immigration agents can use force during Chicago area enforcement operations, calling the judge's order overbroad and too prescriptive. Said the 7th Circuit panel cautioned against overreading its stay, noting it's a fast-track appeal could result in a more tailored and appropriate order. And said earlier this month, Judge Sarah Ellis issued a preliminary injunction after media organizations and demonstrators accused. Why would the media organizations even be included in that? And demonstrators accused federal officers using excessive force during immigration operation that has resulted in more than 3,000 arrests since September across Chicago. And then Justice Department lawyers argued that the order restricted law enforcement's ability to carry out duties and could subvert the constitutional structure. The panel said that the order was too too restrictive, because it did not specify riot control weapons and other devices in a way that resembles a federal regulation. It said Ellis's order barred the agents from using physical force and chemical agents such as tear gas and pepper balls unless necessary or to prevent an immediate threat. She's crazy. Witnesses told the court they were tear gassed, shot with pepper balls while praying. I doubt that. And had guns pointed at them. Look, if you're in the middle of the street, well, we won't get into that either. ICE was doing their job. They were interfering with them doing their job. A protest is the protest. Obstruction of justice is a different issue. And they were doing their job, keeping themselves alive and safe, and the people they were detaining alive and safe. So don't obstruct justice. You let them do their job, right? That's not a protest. That's an interdiction. What kind of time we're at? 36 minutes. All right. September jobs report. So last night, they finally released the September job reports that were supposed to come out like October 3rd, I think it was. But since the U.S. was shut down due to Senator Schumer, they didn't release the data. So the estimate was it was supposed to be 50,000 jobs created, and the unemployment rate was 4.3. And everyone started complaining. Woe is me, only 50,000 jobs, and Trump is doing horrible. He doesn't have a clue what he's doing. Well, 7:30 Central this morning, they released the real numbers because they don't have, that was an estimate yesterday. The real one came out this morning. So what came out this morning was that there wasn't 50,000 jobs created. There was 119,000 jobs created, and unemployment rate went up to 4.4%, which is still healthy. But what it means is, 119,000 more jobs were created for the job force, right? But then you had more people entering into the job market looking for a job. That's why the unemployment rate went up a little bit, because to compensate for the people that needed work, right? But so the good news is 119,000 people in September found work, new work, right? Now I can't wait to see what it was for a couple weeks ago that it was supposed to come out. Let's hope the number was just as good or even better, because while you're looking at it, we may need to wait 2 more weeks for it, but businesses should be plussing up their payrolls for the Christmas shopping season. Okay, that happens all the time. So you heard that Mamdani is going to the White House, like Mr. Smith went to Washington, right? So President Trump put out another slide on truth. Communist mayor of New York, communist-elect mayor of New York City, Zohran Kwame Mamdani, has asked for a meeting. We have agreed that his meeting will take place at the Oval Office on Friday, November 21st. Further details to follow. That came out yesterday, right? Even though my slide said 9 hours ago. So Mamdani said this morning that the basis of their meeting is they're going to discuss affordability issues and how the federal government can help him with the affordability crisis in New York. Well, I don't know how it's going to go. We'll let the president deal with that one. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff come out about it. But Mr. Mamdani, y'all made a mistake by electing him because he is a communist. You should have never let him grace the passageways of, I think it's called Gracie Mansion. I think that is where they stay at. But he's meeting the president tomorrow. Maybe he'll convert and be a capitalist after that meeting. Someone will teach him how to be a billionaire, right? All right. So, Obamacare. You ready for this? So, problems with Obamacare. So, guaranteed coverage. One provision included in the ACA or Obamacare is guaranteed issue, which requires that insurers provide coverage to anyone without factoring in their health status or age. This is the factor that ramps up the cost of premiums, according to Sally Pipes, the president of the free market think tank Pacific Policy Institute. As older patients use a lot more health care than the younger ones, the cost of insurers of a lot more in claims. Premiums have to rise to cover the cost of older enrollees. I explained it to my middle daughter last night. Why is it required that younger people pay for coverage they're never going to use, and all it is they're requiring them to pay for these tests and stuff like that, and it drives up the cost of their premiums for their coverage throughout the year for stuff they'll never use. Is a complete waste of money. And what that's doing is allowing the government to use that extra money to lower the cost of the ACA or Obamacare policies for older people, because, like I told her, about 25% of your entire life's health care spending is in the last 2 years of your life. And what they're doing is robbing Peter to pay Paul when it comes to Obamacare. Totally wrong. And I like how the president is got a text message from him. I like how the president's recommending that we go to a healthcare savings account prospect where the government sends you money instead of sending it to insurance companies. You can put it into a regulated savings account where you can't just free willy go in there and buy a new car or down payment on a house. That money is only used when you need it for healthcare expenses. Great idea. And some other places use it already. I think that's a dynamite idea. It will drive down the costs. And I was like, all you're doing is giving hundreds of billions of dollars to the insurance companies for profit. And then you get a guy that makes $40 million a year and goes home, plays golf, goes fishing, while the rest of us have to go to work at Taco Bell, McDonald's, and stuff like that. A couple other areas, community rural rating. Coupled with this provision is the community rural rating, which bans insurers from charging older people more than 3 times than they did for younger people, regardless of their status. This essentially amounts to a system of government price controls because it requires insurance companies to charge 2 people of the same age, of the same health care plan, the same premium, even if one is healthy and the other is sick. It's socialized health care, right? And then, like I was saying, mandated service coverage. Additionally, Obamacare is essential health benefits requirement that stipulates health insurance plans must cover certain services, including inpatient, outpatient, hospital care, mental health services, prescription drug coverage, and more. And that means enrollees have to buy a plan that covers each benefit regardless of whether they want the benefit or not. If an individual family wants a plan that doesn't cover alcohol rehabilitation or hair prosthesis, I don't know what that is, they still must to pay to cover these benefits. They add tremendously to the cost of coverage. That's why the HSAs should help out a lot more than what they're trying to do here, right? And I'm an Army retiree, so I get TRICARE. I pay close to $700 a year, and I have no copay as long as I see a military doctor. So I'm fortunate on that point, but a lot of y'all are not. And then let's see, where are we at? We're at 46 minutes. So we will go on this one and this one. This was a hot topic last night too. I got this from the Texas Scorecard, and it was written by Brandon, I think it is. Brandon Wallen, I believe. Okay, so Abbott calls for criminal investigations into Sharia courts operating in North Texas. Governor Abbott is calling on law enforcement officers across North Texas to launch investigations into what he says may be illegal Sharia tribunals operating as rogue courts in Collin and Dallas counties. Collin County is just north of Dallas County. In a letter sent to local district attorneys, sheriffs, the Texas Attorney General, Department of Public Safety, which I have that letter too, they're warned that certain entities are masquerading as legal courts staffed with judges, quote unquote, issuing orders that claim to bind individuals to Islamic law. Whatever happened to the U.S. Constitution? That violates it right there. Actions, he says, could violate multiple state criminal statutes. And then Abbott noted that the First Amendment provides wide latitude for religious bodies to adjudicate internal doctrinal and ecclesiastical matters, but that authority does not extend to attempting to function as a parallel legal system. In 2017, Abbott signed House Bill 45, which prohibits Texas courts from enforcing foreign laws, including Sharia law. We practice U.S. law, constitutional law. When they conflict with state or federal constitutional rights, the law was designed to ensure that family law disputes and other civil matters in Texas cannot be governed by foreign legal codes. Additionally, he cited Texas Penal Code provisions that make a crime to impersonate a judge, issue counterfeit court orders, and pass off documents as official government records. The letter singles out Islamic Tribunal, a group operating in the Dallas area, pointing to its public statements that it resolves a broad range of disputes according to Islamic jurisprudence and the Sharia or law, and claims approval of the Texas judicial system. Really? The group's founding charter describes its decisions as final according to Islamic jurisprudence, something Abbott says crosses into unlawful authority. Yep. Abbott warned that such practices stray far beyond traditional church autonomy and risk functioning as a rival court in violation of Texas Penal Code. The Constitution's religious protections provide no authority for religious courts to skirt state or federal laws simply by donning robes and pronouncing positions inconsistent with Western civilization. As of publication, the Islamic Tribunal has not responded to a request for comment. That's to Mr. Whalen in the Texas Scorecard. The governor urged Dallas and Collin County District Attorneys, Sheriffs, Attorney General Ken Paxton, and DPS to investigate any entities purporting to enforce Sharia law or issuing binding judgments in Texas. Legal disputes in Texas must be decided on American law, rooted in fundamental principles of American due process, not according to Sharia law, dispensed in modern-day star chambers. The push comes amid heightened scrutiny over Islamist influence in institutions in Texas, including concerns around the proposed Epic City housing development, now renamed the Meadows, and Abbott's separate designation of CARE and Muslim Brotherhood as foreign terrorist organizations earlier this week. We take an oath to our Constitution, not other people's constitutions. That's why we don't recognize like the International Criminal Court. It's based on international law. We're not part of that here. It's against our Constitution. It's against the Texas Constitution also. So the letter, man, I'm thirsty. I apologize for this. The letter was written on November 19th, which is yesterday. It was written to Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis, Jim Skinner, which is the Collin County Sheriff, Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, John Cruzot, the Dallas County Criminal District Attorney, Marion Brown, Dallas County Sheriff, and Colonel Freeman Martin, Texas Department of Public Safety. And it said District Attorneys Willis, District Attorneys Kuznot, Sheriff Skinner, and Sheriff Brown. It has come to my attention. It has come to my attention that certain entities in Texas, including Collin and Dallas counties, may be masquerading as legal courts staffed with judges, issuing orders that purportedly carry the authority to bind individuals to Islamic codes, thereby preempting state and federal laws. Such practices appear to cross the line from permissible internal religious decision-making to violations of state criminal laws. See Texas Penal Code sections 32.48, 37.10 through 37.11, and 37.13. Wow, he referenced that. At the onset, the First Amendment's protection of religious freedom provides wide berth for religious institutions to order their own affairs under the church autonomy doctrine. See Our Lady of Guadalupe School versus Morrissey Beirut, 591 U.S. Code 732, and then 747, 2020, year 2020. Accordingly, it is appropriate for houses of worship to adjudicate ecclesiastical questions concerning religious doctrine. Watson versus Jones, U.S. Code 8016 Wall, 679 and 725 to 733 in year 1871. Ecclesiastical governments. Shepherd versus Barkley, U.S. Code 247, 1 and 2 in 1918. Selection of clergy and other ministers. Gonzalez versus Roman Catholic Archbishop of Manila, U.S. Code 280, number 1 and 16 in 1929, or eternal discipline of members and congregants. Bolden versus Alexander, and that's U.S. Code 80, numbers 131 and 139 through 140 in 1872. The Presbyterian Session, a Catholic bishop, a Jewish Beit Din, all may inquire into wrongdoing and correct their members to preserve the purity, peace, and good order of their congregation. It is entirely different, however, for religious groups to set up courts purporting to replace actual courts of law to evade neutral and generally applicable laws. See Imperative Division versus Smith, U.S. Code 494, numbers 832 and 828 in 1990. One entity in Dallas area appears to be doing just that. The Islamic Tribunal admits that it is a unique institution of its kind in the United States of America because is no secularism or detachment from the tenets of the faith. It purports to exercise jurisdiction over all aspects of life, even over ecclesiastical legal disputes, and to subject them to Islamic jurisprudence and is Sharia or law, despite suggesting that submission to his jurisdiction is voluntary. The tribunal commands that all Muslims here in America be obligated to find a way to solve conflicts and disputes according to the principles of Islamic law, and it steers them away from the courts of the United States of America, which are costly and consistent with ineffective lawyers. Its founding charter, styled as a constitution, the tribunal holds itself out to authorized to resolve any disputes among Muslims residing in the USA. Under the approval of the Texas judicial system, its judges must have a degree in Islamic law, approved by a renowned Islamic institution, and it claims the decisions those judges issue will be final according to Islamic jurisprudence. It's called Islamicism. That body of Islamic jurisprudence, the tribunal admits, includes stoning adulterers, cutting of the hands, polyandry, and the like, and that's quote unquote. But the tribunal says not to worry, for such laws can be explained in their Islamic legal mentality and only make up a fraction of the Sharia. Given the phenomenal growth of Islamic institutions across America, the tribunal hopes to set a precedent which will be emulated and duplicated throughout the country. Whew. Okay, just a few more paragraphs. In 2017, that'd be Greg Abbott, signed House Bill 45 to limit the imposition of foreign laws like these to protect the rights of vulnerable Texans, including women and children, and to uphold Texas public policy in family law disputes. See Texas Government Code Section 22.0041 and 22.022. In regards to IAD 655 SW3D 285 and 289 in Texas in 2022. Our Constitution, founded upon principles of liberty and freedom, contemplates a people governed only by the laws of Texas and the laws of the United States, enacted by their elected representatives and adjudicated by American courts. See Texas Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, Article 5, Section 1. No person may be compelled to adhere instead to the whole of Islamic law, and that some may seek to impose in Texas and across our country through religious courts pretending to be issue binding final judgments. Article 1, Section 6. That is why it is a crime to pass off a document as a genuine governmental record or official court judgment when it lacks government imperator. I have no idea what that means. And that's in Texas Penal Code 37.10 and 32.48a. It is a crime for an individual to purport to exercise any function of a public servant or a public office, including that of a judge in court. That's in Section 3711, and it's italicized is important. And it is a crime to use any document with the intent that is given the same legal effect as a record of a court created under or established by the constitutional laws of this state or of the United States, and Section 3713 to the extent an extrajudicial tribunal holds itself out to be the court, as it is authorized to issue final and binding decisions resolving any dispute among American Muslims who are obligated to submit to Islamic solution, even to the point of stoning, all while claiming the approval, we're at the end, of the Texas judicial system. It strays far beyond traditional church autonomy and instead masquerades as a rival court in violation of the Texas Penal Code. The Constitution's religious protections provide no authority or religious positions. I urge you, therefore, to investigate efforts by entities purporting to illegally enforce Sharia law in Texas, and I urge you to do so with the Attorney General of Texas and the Director of the Texas Department of Public Safety, who I'm included on this letter and who have additional investigative tools at their disposal. See Texas Government Code 402.0231 Section B and 402.033, 411.002, Texas Business and Commercial Code Section 17.61, and Texas Code of Criminal Procedures Article 2A.001. And legal disputes in Texas must be decided based on American law rooted in the fundamental principles of American due process, not according to Sharia law dispensed in modern-day star chambers. And that's signed Greg Abbott. So I'm going to put this over here. So I'm going to try to find this letter on Digits, and I'm going to attach it to the comments of the podcast so y'all can see it too, okay? So I'll put that right there. I know how to get to it. So just a couple more things. I know we're over an hour, all right? So this is from the SecArmy. This is when I was in the Army. This came out all the time around Thanksgiving, okay? What's different is the SecArmy is a former Army Ranger, right? And this is, if you're looking at it, you can scan through it and stuff. And what I was going to bring out was the two different things. In bold, it says effective now through January 15th, an officer or NCO will deliberately check in on every soldier daily to see if they need help. Just pick up your phone or car keys, call, text, or visit your buddy, and pick them up too. Just pick up someone we can provide help. Very important. And the next thing is, if you look in the bottom left-hand corner of this, you have a lifeline. It's 988. If you have any mental problems and you want to talk to someone about depression, or you just need to talk because you need to talk, right? Call 988 and someone will answer the phone and talk to you, all right? And that was signed by Dan Driscoll. He's the Secretary of the Army. But like I said, it comes out all the time, every year, and it's very important that you know where your soldiers are, just like you should know what your employees are doing or your family members are doing also. All right, so last thing I want to show you, you can find me on X at James Pierce Jr. I'm live on it. I'm on Facebook. I'm live at James A. Pierce Jr. YouTube. That's the one I'm telling you to go to. Go to the JP8 report 67, and please subscribe there so we can get to 50, and I can start live streaming through there. Simulcasting. Need to write that word down. It's a big word. And then I'm on Truth, and then you can send me an email at jp8report@gmail.com. All right. Whew. That's a lot of talking. 1 hour and 5 minutes. And there were still some things I didn't get to talk about. I was going to talk about Harris County bail policy, the court case that Ken Paxton won yesterday. But We can just go to the Texas scorecard and you can read about that also. Look over here. Okay. House probes Christian persecution in Nigeria. Okay. All right. So tomorrow's Friday. I'll be here 12 o'clock. And I thank everyone for tuning in today, persevering with me. Before I leave, don't forget, if you're watching this or if you're live and you're not a follower of the JP8 report, click that follow button and give us a thumbs up. And if you want to put a comment in the comment section, because if you do it in the live chat, it's just going to go away after I end the live stream. All right? Leave something in there and look if you want to go back later and look for that letter I just wrote, just read from Governor Abbott. You can read that too. That was a really good, thorough letter. So what's going on tonight? Tonight we're going to the Feast of Sharing here in Copper's Cove for our traditional Thanksgiving meal that they're giving to everybody in the city. And tomorrow night I'm going to a fundraiser and in Harker Heights at the Vintage Church. It's called Lone Starry Night. And there's going to be politicians. I know Angela Paxton's going to be there. Raymond Hamden's going to be there. Angela Paxton's a state senator out in Collin County. And then Raymond Hamden is he's running for the nomination of Congressional District 31 here in Central Texas. And then Aaron Reitz is running for Attorney General here in the state of Texas. All right. And they're going to be the keynote speakers and stuff there. But, yeah, it's called Lone Starry Night. It's a fundraiser for the Christian school that's there. All right. And I'm looking forward to going. I'm taking in, get all dressed up in our Western Texas attire because that's the dress for it. All right. So that's it for the JP8 report today. Like I said, don't forget to follow and don't forget to like. All right. Y'all have a great day. And this is James Pierce with the JP8 report. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm out.